The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law. Happy weekend to you. Joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Michaela Nichols. Michaela, how are you today? Any complaints yet?
I'm tired. I was yawning literally right before we started. I was
We
nervous.
always start the show with your complaints, it feels like to me.
No. You volunteer my complaints. They're in my inside thoughts.
But you could say no. Here's what you should say. Hey, Michaela, any complaints today? And you're like, oh, I'm just happy to be here with you on this beautiful couch.
Oh my God, I could say that, but I'm not going to.
I gotcha. I am a lawyer. She is not. She is the voice of the people at home, but we're here to answer any legal question that you have. We're here live with you, 321-282-1055. A special guest joining us today, David Mackey, will be here. What do you think he's going to talk about? If you had to guess.
Probably something with law.
With law, for sure. We're going to hammer your HOA issues together today. David's an excellent lawyer when it comes to homeowners associations. We'll talk about some new laws and also what to look out for to see if your HOA is treating you not the way that they should. Also, it's tax season. We're going to talk about your IRS debt and what you can do about it. And don't freak out if you owe money to the IRS. There are many things that you can do to change that quickly and give you some comfort and peace of mind. You ready to go?
I am.
Here's what we're going to do, a very quick break. When we return, we will talk about your homeowners association problems as Behind the Law continues. You own a house, you need to have your windows and sliding glass doors checked right away. I'll tell you why. Joined by my good friend Dan Bringman, Renewal by Anderson. How do I know, Dan, when it's time to have my windows and sliding glass doors checked?
Well, it's a great question because it's not always obvious. One of the ways that sticks out immediately is that energy bill. We have to make, we've seen it go up all year long. Got a couple cool days now. A couple other ways are they're not functioning properly. You have some dust on the seals and also just water infiltration, or maybe you heard a lot of rattling during some wind and so forth.
Absolutely. QR code is on the screen for you right now. What does it cost to have you and your design team come out and see what's going on with my windows?
Absolutely nothing but your time.
That's a beautiful thing, and they're going to come check it out, tell you exactly what you need or don't need sometimes. But a lot of people say, well, Dan, I'm worried about the economy. I don't want to write a big check right now. You've done amazing things to make this almost free sometimes when you compare it to your electric bill.
Absolutely, and it's a great thing to be concerned about, but we take the worry away. What we've done is we've extended our finance plans, and we call them our easy pay plans, and they go up to 144 months, and we go as low as 5.97. I mean, that's like really low. Most terms out there go as high as 12, 14%.
And if you think about what you're paying every month versus how you're going to save money on your electricity bill, this is almost free for you and a no-brainer. Dan, always good to see you, buddy. Do yourself a favor right now. Hit the QR code on the screen and call Renewal by Anderson today. Welcome back to the show. Homeowners associations, obviously huge in Florida, really throughout the country, but especially here, Arizona, some states like that. And people are like, why are you so angry at HOAs all the time, Justin? I'm really not. I mean, homeowners associations are great in a lot of settings. They really are. There are a lot of great HOAs out there. And again, if you ran for your HOA board and you're the president or you're on the board, I understand it's sort of a thankless job. You're not getting paid for it. We're not bashing you. We're not. But what's happened is HOAs have gotten so much power in the state of Florida that you have absolutely railroaded people and families to the point where sometimes you're threatening to foreclose, sometimes you are foreclosing on them for not always doing anything wrong. We should talk to David Mackey here. David, lawyer in my office. Good to see you, brother. First time on the show.
It is.
And you and I work on HOAs together a lot. When someone comes into the office and they're complaining about something their homeowners association has done to them, what are some of the general complaints that we see?
Some of the general complaints would be violations. They have no idea why they're getting these violations. They think they've done the right work, they've done the right job, they show up, they think, why am I receiving this notice? It says, oh wow, I need to pressure wash my driveway. I need to clip my yard. And I'm thinking, I just did it a week ago. Why am I getting a violation? I think that's a major portion of what's going on with some of these homeowners.
Yeah, and oftentimes I will see someone gets a violation, but then their neighbor has the same thing. The rest of the community is doing the same thing, but not getting the violation. How do people feel about that normally?
They feel that they're being selectively violated on, and what's called selective enforcement. So when they get these, they think, wait a minute, it could be a violation of your yard, could be a violation, as I mentioned, of pressure washing, it could be a violation that I parked my car in the wrong spot. But they're thinking, I see all of these trailers and these cars parked in, wrong spots in other areas of the neighborhood, yet they're the only ones that are getting these violations. So they believe that it is just somebody is out to get them.
Yeah.
And for all we know, that is the case. However, you have to do a little bit of digging to find out whether or not they're actually being violated against. But at the end of the day, they don't know how to handle it. And they're going, what do I do? And they see you on TV. They think, wow, someone is here for us. Someone's here for the HOA, against the HOA, and someone's going to help me fix my problem. Because as you mentioned earlier, HOA, they have all of this power, and the homeowner has very little power to defend themselves, and they need someone to stick up for them.
Yeah, and no one really has. There are so many lawyers out there who represent homeowners associations, right? That's all they do. That's their whole practice, is they represent HOAs. We started to represent people just like you, right? We represent people who the HOA is picking on in a lot of ways, and the laws have actually changed for the better. There are more protections now for us as residents of the HOA than there were in the past. And you get back to the selective enforcement issue, which we'll touch on again in a moment. And selective enforcement used to only be a defense. So if a homeowners association sued you, and make no mistake, they can sue you. Make no mistake, they can foreclose on you just like your lender can, just like Bank of America can. They can do all of that. But in the past, selective enforcement was simply a defense. Now it's actually a claim. It's a cause of action where your homeowners association cannot selectively enforce anything against you, or you can sue them. Maybe you have more questions about this. The phone number's on the screen right now, 321-282-1055. But David, generally we don't just jump right to a lawsuit, which I think is good, because we're still going to be neighbors. We don't necessarily want to go and sue them. We want to try to resolve the problem. Tell me how that process really works from beginning with a new client to going through this mediation process.
Well, we'll get a new client, makes a phone call, is yearning for help. We get the information from them, what's going on. We send out what's called a letter of representation to the HOA, to the HOA's attorney. From there, we find out what the homeowner wants also and the problems they're going through. Then we'll send a demand letter, and it's actually a statutory required demand letter. It's a mediation demand letter, meaning that the court wants you to go to mediation first. They don't want you to come in and go, hey, let's use up the court's time to try to figure out something that you might be able to sort out through mediation, where the mass majority of mediations do get settled. So the good thing is, as you mentioned, we all live in the same neighborhood. Yeah. You want to get along. You don't want it to be contentious for the rest of your life or the time that you're in this neighborhood. So you'll end up having a required mediation demand letter sent out where the HOA is familiar with it. They know this, their attorneys know this, and then they respond back, and sometimes it's settled before you go to mediation. However, the next step is mediation. If that doesn't work out, then you discuss taking a lawsuit from there. But again, it's required to have this mediation set in place, go through that first, and again, 80% of them around there get settled ahead of time, so you don't have to spend the extra money to go to a lawsuit.
Yeah, this mediation can take some time, though. She often will call and say, are you ready for dinner or what? And I'm like, no, I'm still in this mediation that started at 9 a.m. Literally, that happens. Yeah. What is it really like in a mediation? Describe a mediation for the people at home.
You go in, it's not contentious. The mediator kind of goes through their spiel at the beginning. You have your side. The both attorneys will give opening remarks, or both sides, whoever's speaking at the time, will give opening remarks. Then you'll go into your own little breakout room. So it's not a situation where you're battling back and forth with the other people that you may not be fond of at the time. Yeah. So you're in your own room. The mediator goes back and forth between the rooms, and you're just having a conversation with your attorney, trying to figure out how can that mediator facilitate a resolution between the two, come to some type of common ground, and you're just talking it out. That's all you're doing, is learning how to compromise, learning how to have a little bit of, positive conversation to move it forward and settle.
Sounds like couples therapy.
I mean, in some ways it is.
It is kind of couples therapy, because you have two sides.
Yeah.
You're thinking, hey, we already agree on 90% 97% of the stuff. How can we figure out these last 3 to 5% of the problems that we have that aren't as large as people make them out to be at times? However, if they are large, it might take these 6-9 hours of mediation, which you hope that is not the case, but they can last a little longer than you think, and sometimes they finish in 2-3 hours. Once in a while, they go 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I often tell people that maybe your HOA says one thing to you, sends you one violation letter, and okay, whatever, it is what it is. If they keep coming after you, they keep harassing you about things, there is a solution. There's something that you can do, and this is short of having to actually file a lawsuit against them. The process is relatively simple. You send this mediation demand, the HOA then has 20 days to respond to that, and then you actually go to mediation. And mediation is different than trial. A mediation is where we're all just sitting in the same room or oftentimes on Zoom and really trying to hammer out whatever issues that we have. People also often say, well, what's the difference in arbitration and mediation? Mediation is no one's making a decision there. The mediator doesn't decide. The only people that can decide at mediation are both the parties. At an arbitration, that's sort of a miniature trial where the arbitrator actually makes a decision that day. So mediation is a way less formal process to resolve these things, and it doesn't cost that much money. You're not going to spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 fighting them to just go through this mediation process. And Dave, you know, the mediators we work with are generally pretty good, and we work with the same mediators mostly. They're generally pretty good at getting us to a resolution.
They are. I mean, the ones we work with have had numerous years of experience, and some are fantastic. They've got a tremendous demeanor in learning how to talk, and they already know how to talk to both sides. They've been attorneys. They know what it entails. They have the information they have. They don't give legal advice during the process. However, they know how to craft their words and their sentences from each side to assist both parties in moving the needle forward. Yeah. So they're tremendous. Mediators are fantastic at learning people. They know the law. They know the sides that they're talking to. They have done their homework a lot of times. So the mediators are really the ones that can get that, as I said, that needle moving forward to come to some type of quality resolution. Yeah, and sometimes, unfortunately, the mediation doesn't work. I think what we hear is 85% of times we settle at mediation. I think that's the average number, but sometimes it doesn't. Okay, the mediation goes forward. We reach what's called an impasse, and then it's time to actually do nothing or file a lawsuit against the HOA. When you're having a conversation with the client about, okay, mediation didn't work, let's talk about suing them, what are some of the things that you talk through with the client about the pros and cons of doing that? You let them know that, hey, we came to an impasse. It didn't work out this time in the mediation. However, we can go further if you choose to go further. We let them know that it's going to cost a little bit more money to do that, sometimes a lot more money. So we actually talked about that before we go into mediation, and sometimes during mediation we'll let them know that it can cost more to try to move that needle, as I said, to get some type of resolution. If it doesn't happen, they get to choose if they want to continue, you know, I don't want to say battling, but you know, filing a lawsuit against the HOA, and to see if they can take it, and depending on the case that we have, we'll give the advice of whether or not we think it's as strong as we think it is, and hope that the judge or the jury rules in their favor. At least over 50% of it would be in their favor. But you give both sides of what could happen. And at the end, if they do have a good case, they could get the attorney's fees paid for. They could. There's some pluses there. But again, it's a case-by-case basis to figure out whether or not we give the advice on whether we have a really strong case. And oftentimes we do. We've taken your case for a reason. We take your case because we believe in you. We believe in what you're going for. We understand that the HOA has so much power that we need to do something to stop this. It's not really a trend. It's the way things have been. And more HOAs are happening in the state of Florida because development is happening in the state of Florida. So how can we be that firm that comes in and says, no, you're not going to be taking advantage of these homeowners nearly as much as you used to. That's right. Good job, Attorney David Mackey. Thank you, brother. Thank you as well. I think that when you're dealing with your HOAs, you want to effectuate change within your community, but I also think that as a firm, we've effectuated change with how homeowners associations really treat you as well. It's been a mission of ours, and we will continue doing just that. You might have other questions. 321-282-1055. Always a 100% free consultation.
flat fees if we go forward. We'll make it easy for you to fight this HOA. Here's what we're going to do now, a quick break. A lot of people think it's not easy to deal with your IRS problems, and look, it's not, but there are things that you can do as Behind the Law continues. Did you know that filing for bankruptcy can help you lower your mortgage or car payments or potentially help you eliminate your IRS or credit card debt? I'm attorney Justin Clark. If you find yourself living paycheck to paycheck, call me now or visit youhavepower.com for a free consultation. Many businesses say they support our veterans. Universal Roof and Contracting takes action, and they do support our veterans. Justin, we're here on a very special day, very special place.
Absolutely. We're down here in St. Cloud today honoring Mr. Michael Langto he is this year's Veteran Roof Giveaway winner. Could not be more thrilled. It is the heartbeat of our company. This is what we do every single year to give back to the veteran community, and we're here to listen to his story because it's a good one.
Michael, you have a brand new roof. It's beautiful. Came at an important time for you as well.
It sure did. We were just notified that our roof was 17 years old and had to be replaced, or the homeowner's insurance was not going to renew our policy.
How does it feel having this new roof, and how did Universal Roof and Contracting treat you?
Oh, we are so blessed. We are so thankful, and they treated us like kings and queens. They informed us every step of the way. They did a fantastic job. I couldn't be happier. It really goes to show you what a great business you are. You've been around for a long time, supporting the veterans like you do, really a pillar of the community.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this so fun. It makes us believe in what we do. We've been doing this a long time. Again, founded by a family, by a veteran. This is something we do every year. We treat all of our clients exactly like we treat our veteran roof winners. And we encourage you, if you haven't had your roof looked at this year, to have us come out. It's free inspection for us to come see where you're at in the roofing process and what your next step would be.
Keep up the great work, guys. Michael, congratulations. Thanks for having us out. You did a great job today.
Thank you.
Visit Universal Roof and Contracting today. QR code is on the screen right now. You will not regret that decision. Welcome back to the show. It is IRS season, okay? And IRS season is actually good and bad. It depends on who you talk to. If you're self-employed, you get a W-2. You actually love when it's tax season because you're almost always going to get money back when you file your tax returns. If you're self-employed, unless you're perfect like Michaela, and you pay quarterly and do everything absolutely perfectly. Well, it's true.
I'm just still waiting to get money back from the IRS. Everyone's like, oh, I got my check. I'm gonna go shopping. I'm like, must be nice. I don't get that.
Well, I'll tell you exactly why that is. Because you have always been self-employed, right? So you've never really had a boss who takes out taxes every single payday, and then at the end of the year you're like, oh sweet, I'm going to get some of that back. That's the difference. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now do you appreciate the show?
No, I do.
You see?
No,
I was onto something.
I wish I could get money back.
So a W-2 employee generally loves tax season because you're going to get a refund. For self-employed people, whether you own your own business, you're a 1099 type contractor, you normally don't love tax season because this is when you have to stroke a check, okay? So there's a 6-month automatic extension that you can apply for. April. Everyone's laughing at me. I don't know what.
Stroke a check.
What's wrong with that?
Who strokes a check?
That's what it's
that
called.
Sounds inappropriate. I'm sorry.
No, it's not inappropriate at all.
It's write a check. You write a check.
When you write a check to the IRS, okay?
It's better.
I still will say stroke a check because that's how you say it.
It's just uncomfortable.
No, it's really not.
It's making everyone in this room uncomfortable.
No, what's making it uncomfortable is everyone's laughing.
Because
that's the thing.
you said stroke a check.
Ryan, have you ever heard anyone say stroke a check before?
Yeah, just him.
No, it's
just
very
him.
It's a very normal
term.
term.
This guy. No, it's just
it's
you.
It's a super normal term. It's his grandparents. Can we all right,
go back to your story? Go ahead.
Tax season, always stressful for self-employed people because we normally have to write a check. And then what happens is over time, if you don't pay the IRS, you're going to end up obviously owing money to the IRS.
Yes.
And that is a financial stressor on you. One of those financial stressors that will keep you up at night, keep you rolling around on your pillow, turning your pillow over because you're super stressed about being able to take care of your family, but you're also worried about the IRS coming and taking everything from you or the IRS putting you in jail. That's a valid concern, but here's what I want you to know. Number one, the IRS does not hate me because I help people deal with their IRS problems. They actually like me because I take people who have maybe not filed returns for a few years and get them back in the system. Where I take people who haven't made any payments in a few years, who owe them money, and come up with a payment plan for the IRS, and it gives my clients a lot of relief. So the IRS does not hate me. They enjoy the fact that I'm getting people back into the system. But it's that option. What is the best option for you is what we need to think about. And a few different things, Michaela, okay? Let's just say hypothetically we owe $100,000 to the IRS. What are your options at that point? Number one is a settlement. Just like if you owed American Express, which you never would, $100,000, you would call them and say, okay, will you take 10 or will you take 20? You settle that debt, right? You've heard of settlement many times before. Same thing with the IRS. You have the opportunity to settle with them. There's a fancy term for it, though. It's called an offer in compromise. And it's not that easy. It takes some time. It takes a year, 2 years, sometimes longer to get the IRS to really come back and accept this offer in compromise. But we've seen people save thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in settling their IRS debt with the IRS.
I think you're making it sound so easy, like they can just do it themselves, but they can't. They need you. I think you left that part out.
It is. It's very, very difficult. You really have to know what you're doing when it comes to doing these settlements with the IRS. It's very time-consuming, very heavy work, very heavy on the paperwork.
Like I just can't call the IRS and be like, hey, can I give you 5?
You can try. You can certainly try that, but there's a real process that you need to go through. And again, we're happy to talk through this with you at the firm as well. 321-282-1055. And these consultations are always free. It costs you not a single penny to come in and sit down and talk through these IRS problems with us. So that's the first, a settlement, an offer in compromise. What about a payment plan, right? You've heard of people doing that if they owe money to someone. Well, I can't pay you the whole $50,000 today. What if I give you $1,000 a month or something like that? Same thing with the IRS. You can do a payment plan. We have to have a fancy term for it, of course, though. It's called an installment agreement. So with an installment agreement, what we like to do is go in and see, all right, this is how much money you owe total to the IRS. Most of the time, a lot of that's going to be penalties, and we go in and try to do a penalty abatement, wipe out a lot of it. So let's say we're back to this $100,000 number, 30 of that might be penalties. So now we're down to $70,000, okay? And now we want to pay that $70,000 over time. So when you're doing this installment agreement, most of the time, you can still go apply for a mortgage or other credit if you want as well. And it's not just showing that you don't pay your IRS. So an installment agreement's a wonderful way to get you back on track with the IRS and not have to worry about them coming after you. Here's the thing. You don't pay Amex, they have to sue you. They got to serve you paperwork. You got 20 days to respond. You can fight the case. It's going to take a year or two. If you owe money to the IRS, they can just come into your bank account and take your money. They don't have to sue you. They can just call your boss and take your money out of your paycheck. So you do need to get ahead of the IRS debt for sure. Another solution, right? We've already talked settlement, aka offer in compromise. Payment plan, installment agreement. A lot of times people come into my office and they're not doing great financially, or maybe they've gotten older and they're living on Social Security now. We like to look at what's called a CNC, or currently non-collectible. So sometimes people come and they owe money to the IRS, but they're not collectible. So the IRS will literally say, we're going to back off. We're not going to do anything. We're going to put you on a CNC status and maybe wait till they do better in life in the future, or maybe it just goes away altogether. So there's a plethora of other options out there for dealing with your IRS debt. The best way is her way. Never have any trouble.
That's, yeah. Well, and not everyone has that liberty. So
I know. So you've really never gotten a refund?
No.
See, I thought you would have already gotten a refund from something.
Trust me, I've never gotten a refund, like not once, not once.
But you like to...
All my friends tell me, hey, Michaela, I want to go shopping. I'm like, no, I don't.
Because they just got their tax refund.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, what's that?
I'm like crying in the corner because I owe.
No, you are very good at not having any tax issues, and I appreciate that about you. Yeah. And how do you make sure that you don't have tax problems?
Every time I get a check, I put 30% in another account so I can't touch it.
Really?
Yeah. And then it's a little bit of savings because usually they take 20%, and then I have a little bit for some wiggle room, and then I put the rest into my Roth. I always contribute to your Roth, people, because that's a little secret. That's what, non-taxable?
You know all the secrets.
No, my accountant told me that.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, if you can contribute to your Roth, that's helpful.
Well, if those
Because they can't get that.
No, that's true. It's always good. Listen to her. She's normally right.
I don't know
she really
a lot,
is
but I know that.
But she's right on most things for sure. But look, maybe it's too late. We already have found ourselves with IRS debt. Don't think you can't do anything, because there are things that you can do to help alleviate this stress that you're feeling. 321-282-1055. A last quick break for the day. When we return, it's
What did we learn?
As Behind the Law continues.
It is never a bad time to prioritize your health, your well-being. That is why I come to Bellam Wellness. I'm joined by Dr. Zadie. You are a primary care physician first and foremost, but you started Bellam Wellness. Tell me a little bit about why you started it.
Bellam actually has been my passion from quite some time. I wanted to do something a little bit more than the primary care, so we can take care of patients from inside out. We want them to feel better.
It means beautiful soul, right?
Beautiful soul, absolutely.
And I love that, because not only do you offer some aesthetic services, but pain management, you really do it all. Tell me about some of the other services you offer here.
The main is, which I love the most, is my laser services.
I love it too. That's where I get my laser hair removal done.
So the most common, as you know, is our laser hair removal, but we do the fine lines, wrinkles, scars.
Spider veins.
Spider veins, absolutely. That's one of my favorite to perform, actually, because you can see the results instantaneously. And scars, as I mentioned, and brown spots, pigmented spots.
Because we all have something that we're a little insecure about, because we always look in the mirror, but you really help people find the beauty within themselves and kind of fix those little imperfections along the way. Dr. Zadie, I trust you with all my aesthetic related services.
Thank you so much.
And your family is so inspirational. I love the husband, the kids, all of them. I really enjoy coming here.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to continue giving service to you and the whole of the Central Florida.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. If you want to check out this amazing list of services, look no further than Bellam Wellness.
We wrap it up today with you with What Did We Learn? The beautiful Michaela Nichols, what did you learn?
I learned it's super uncomfortable when you say stroke a check.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, and I also learned David Mackey is awesome at what he does. He's an asset to your team.
He is. HOA law has gotten better for us, for people who their HOA is harassing you. They're doing things to you they're not doing to the other homeowners in the community. Law has gotten better, thanks in some ways to us, honestly. We were the first firm to really fight back. Everyone thought you could not fight back with your homeowners association. Like, oh, they can do whatever they want, they're God. And it turns out they're not. And I like that very much. I learned that you are great with paying your taxes and your Roth IRA.
Roth. Anything to save myself more money.
So you really do write that check every month to the Roth?
Yeah, no, literally, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
How do you do it? You actually physically write the check?
No, I wire it. I used to drive it over to my guy, but now I just wire it.
Got it. And when it comes to your IRS debt, there are plenty of things that you can do, and we'll get you back in the system with the IRS, so you don't have to worry about them coming after you. And a lot of times, you can owe them a lot of money, but if you do the right things, you can get out from under that debt and not worry about it anymore, because they can come after you. Mm-hmm. They will come after you. And I learned you did an awesome job as always today.
Oh, you did fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks to our amazing team here in the studio. Most importantly, thank you. We'll see you again next week for more Behind the Law. Did you know that filing for bankruptcy can help you lower your mortgage or car payments, or potentially help you eliminate your IRS or credit card debt? I'm attorney Justin Clark. If you find yourself living paycheck to paycheck, call me now or visit youhavepower.com for a free consultation.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.